Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. It is Sunday, July 21st. It is the day of the full moon in Capricorn, which happened this morning at 3:17 a.m. It was the second full moon in Capricorn. The last one was exactly a month ago on June 21st. And now our moon cycles will go back to their regular positions. If you are new to my channel, I do intuitive astrology here. Today we are going to talk about the transits this week. Then I'm going to do an angel reading and pull a tarot card for each sign. We start with the birthday sign. So we're going to finish up with Cancer today. We go into Leo tomorrow. Good morning, Katerina. Good morning, Millionaire J. I like that name. That's a good affirmation for abundance. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Matthew. Good morning, Catherine. I got to tell you, this week is going to be a scorcher, not only temperature-wise. Good morning, Matt. I'm a bit crackly. Maybe it's because I'm banging the cards on the table. Okay, this week, Mars moved into Gemini yesterday, 0 degrees, making a trine to Pluto retrograde at 0 degrees of Aquarius. This is not for the faint of heart. This is really, these two planets co-rule Scorpio. And while it's a trine aspect, I think it's important to recognize that the environment around us with Jupiter in Gemini is very expansive. A lot of information is coming through and people are very passionate about things right now. And Mars is trine to Pluto, for me personally, is a very strong awareness of who I want to be and who I've been nurturing to be, my being attitude versus, a reactionary something based on an old story. And it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's easy because these planets require a lot of consciousness. Mars is very reactionary and Pluto can be devious, where he can take the underbelly of your psychology and use it against you. But here, I think there's liberation because we are looking at Mars moving into Gemini, and Mars was there 2 years ago for 7 months. So with those that are standing in awareness, we can implement these energies. Again, I don't want to say it's easy. It feels a little bit challenging for me right now to express myself with healthy boundaries, and yet at the same time, not go into some of my little Martian energy, my Mars rising. So anyway, because I just want you to be aware of this. We also had this full moon this morning, which is super, super powerful. If you didn't catch my little video, I did one yesterday. The stars are alerting us to our mind and our thoughts through the number 11 and through the repetition of the number 1. So pay attention to that because that is spirit telling you that your thoughts are things and they're manifesting very, very quickly. This full moon this morning was conjunct Pluto. So the full moon was at 29 degrees and Pluto's at 0 degrees. New beginning for how you are processing things. And I want to offer it this way because when you stand in an awareness of a knee-jerk reaction, it doesn't mean you're not having the reaction. What it means, and within the awareness of it, there's a certain amount of choice. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where real, awareness, and if you want to call it evolution, growth, learning your lessons on this planet, which I don't really believe, but we'll just call it that for now. That's where it really takes place, in that awareness and even the struggle of that awareness and to implement the new behavior versus the habitual behavior. So we're all going to go through this. And I got to tell you, I like to always look at the sunny side of the street pretty much. But as Mars moves deeper and deeper into Gemini and gets closer and closer to Jupiter, there's going to be an expansion of people being very passionate and demonstrative about their beliefs, whatever those beliefs are. And those of us here in the United States are going through a political environment with this election coming up. And I don't want to, again, I don't want politics on this channel, but I want you to be aware that in that transit, there is the potential for people to be a little inflamed. The challenging side of Jupiter is entitlement, Mr. Know-it-all. Jupiter out of balance is a real asshole, to be honest with you. I hate to be rude to Jupiter, but it's true. Thinks it knows everything, wants everything in a gluttonous way, and kind of shakes its hips through the galaxy, knocking little planets around. So we want to be aware of that, because if we're aware of it, then we can use Jupiter to our advantage. We can see the guy that always thinks that he's a Mr. Know-it-all coming, and we can duck the other way, or we can just tune out, whatever we need to do to manage the situation, not to kick in any sort of inflamed reactions. That's all I'm saying. Because Jupiter and Mars, as they come into conjunction, can make people very pissed off and act out, These are fun times we're in, because they're very polarizing. We can do it in the higher frequencies of these planets with our awareness. That's all we can do. We're in a human structure. It's not ever going to be effortless. It's not ever going to be, it's always going to be like this, right? And this is like a dolphin in and out of the water, but it can get like this if you're not careful. Oh, your Jupiter is conjunct Saturn. That's not a bad combination, honestly. I was thinking, I have the weirdest thoughts. I thought about Kobe the other day, Kobe Bryant, and how he had his sun conjunct Saturn in Virgo. And, if you're just looking at a chart, you might look at that and be like, ooh, that's not so good. But that's, of course, only looking at the negative side of that opportunity. Kobe was a really hard worker, really dedicated, really willing to endure the pain of his sport to be a champion. And that's what that conjunction indicated. So as we look, and I want to offer this because I've been working on a lot of astrology charts lately, which is putting me all over the time room. Like I'm all over the map in the year, but I'm finding more and more patterns within the details, within the, oh, did he officially drop out? That would be something we would be seeing right now. Biden and Trump both have some very powerful transits going on for them. And anyway, so, and that's part of it. So, this is the kind of thing that, when people, have a belief system, and some people may be very, very impassioned about this playing out the way it is. And my whole idea, the whole point I'm trying to make is that if we're standing in awareness, we understand that the beauty of this planet is contrast. It's that we're not all the same, that we think differently and we express differently. And if we just avoid those that rub up against us during really crazy transits, like a Pluto trine Mars, then we can enjoy these things instead of finding ourselves frustrated, so be mindful, because August is going to get hot, and not just the temperature outside. It's going to get hot. So that's just what I got to say. Mercury will enter its rulership of Virgo this week as well. That's very powerful, because what we don't talk about when Mercury enters Virgo is that Mercury is actually exalted in Virgo. So that's like a double whammy of the mercurial energy. Very different than you're going to feel Mercury in Gemini. It's going to be, again, really married to organization and process and practicality, and, being able to see the road ahead and map it out in a way that makes the most sense. So we'll see that happening at the end of the week. And I want to offer this idea too, because as we go into the summer months and the transits we're going to see them going through the Leo energy, and then obviously through the Virgo energy, and then back up into that Libra energy, which represents harmony and peace and balance. As we walk through with a bit of an awareness during this time, and we're watching sort of, how do I want to, this is not about not sharing your opinion. I think it's more about not just, there's going to be a very strong pull to be right. That's what Jupiter is going to do. And the more Mars gets closer to Jupiter, people are going to want to be right about what they believe in. So what I'm just trying to say is that you can be right. Just don't go around and hang out with people who think you're wrong. It'll be much easier of a transit for you. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's get to our readings now. Pardon me while I crack myself up. Because I got to tell you, I feel like I'm just sitting at home sometimes, minding my own business, and I get inflamed by other people. Literally, like I think to myself, sometimes, I just wonder that because I've got this Libra thing. So I see things in a big circle. So I always try to be considerate and move on the sidewalk and let somebody walk through. And the more I do that, sometimes the more I'm aware of that lack of it being reciprocated. And so I, in that awareness, go, am I going to get irritated by this, or am I just going to do this because it makes me feel good? That's what I'm talking about. Hope that made sense. Because it's going to be a week. It's going to be a couple of weeks. It's going to be a couple of months. It's going to be a couple of years. All righty. Let's start with our very, very last of them. I mean, literally, if your birthday is today, happy birthday to my Cancers and to the ones that had their birthday this week. Tomorrow, the sun will move into Leos. But we're going to stick with the plan. Technically, today is a Cancer day. So we're starting with Cancer. And your tarot card is the Star. This is a card of faith. This is a card, Cancer, if you are born this week, your sun is experiencing another opposition from Pluto as it enters Capricorn. And this means that something outside of yourself could potentially create a block, an obstacle. But this is, again, a point of awareness, an opportunity. And for my Cancers, more than anything, this opportunity has a lot to do with the water, your intuitive body, your inner knowing, your ability to nurture, your ability to not nurture other people, your ability to nurture yourself during times when you can't see the solution. The thing about this Star is that she is literally vulnerable, naked to the elements as she's, tending to this pool of water that's just going around in a circle. And yet behind her, there's pathways that are going on that do not have her consciousness or her awareness. And it reduces down to a 7, right? 17. Wait, 10. Yeah. It's a 17, so that reduces down to an 8. The 8 is the number of transformation. And so this week, I want to offer, if there are any obstacles or any people, situations, even they could actually be repeated situations or people, this gives you an opportunity for you to experience yourself in a consciousness or in a vibration that you didn't know you could experience, meaning relaxed, calm, inner knowing, no matter what's going on out here. And that's really the ticket. When I always get messages when I'm in the shower. I think it's the water element, and I talk to God and the angels a lot in there. And there's a movie called The Shack. I think I've mentioned it on the show before. It's very powerful for me. The movie really encapsulates how I see God's point of view, how spirit works in, balance of dark and light. And I just felt very called to ask for the peace of that awareness, to understand that everything has a trail. There are reasons why people are the way they are. So the reason I say this, Cancer, is because sometimes when you give too much to people who don't know how to reciprocate. And then, it just turns into a big, uneven, unbalanced situation. Our first angel is Caressa, the end of a life cycle. This moon may bring some awareness. It was very emotional. It's going to be potentially the whole day could be very emotional because of its conjunction to Pluto. We have Caressa being joined by Vanessa. Will you have faith or fear? That is the Star again. And I want to offer this too, because as you start to demonstrate faith, not hope, faith is a cooperative component to spirit. It's an inner knowing. And there's also within the inner knowing that there is the goal, there is the outcome that you want that is not in sight right now. It's still over here. Pathways are being opened up for it. And I think that this potential opposition, as Pluto is in retrograde, is giving you an opportunity to demonstrate the up here and in here what you've been working on through the whole transit, or what you become more aware of. Then we have Akasha, the spiritual teacher. There we go. And then we have Opal, where you have faith in God. Matt, that moon bath is where you literally lay out in the full light of the moon. And if you have the privacy of your own home or whatever, you can lay out in anything you want to, including your birthday suit. I live on the Autobahn, basically, and there'll be no moon baths for me. All right. So Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. Vanessa's echoing the star. Let's see. Caressa is being joined by the Trust card, which is also a 47, which reduces down to an 11, which is a gentle reminder that the transformation comes in the awareness of our thoughts. And then we have Vanessa being joined by the Burden card. Sometimes it's hard to have faith, especially when we see so many things in the outside world that are contrary to our what we potentially want to happen. Akasha is being joined by the Perception card, and Opal is being joined by the Cat. So here, basically what we're seeing is that this end of a life cycle, a new happiness awaits you, is literally something you've been calling forth. And within that, it's now time to demonstrate truth. Trust. And this is in the form of both the star and Vanessa. And again, it sometimes is very difficult to have faith in something that you haven't experienced, something that you haven't, things that are conceptual, they fly around like air. But things that we've experienced, they root into us. So here we have Akasha, the teacher, that is offering Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums a little bit of an opportunity to see what you've learned within your own perceptions. How am I perceiving a situation? Because again, sometimes that very obstacle is the pearl, that you demonstrate a new version of yourself to yourself. Because Opal is this trusting God and that you're safe and sound. And then I have this new life in the form of the Cat. It's also a bit of aloofness, I want to say, that maybe Cancer, who is so willing to give the shirt off their back, their last meal usually, to go into situations that you can feel it on the underbelly, but somebody's just got a big, bad, sad story and you give into it and then it bites you in the butt. That is over. That's what this is saying. And this is a good thing. And that what you don't know is that your relationships will probably get a lot better and have more room to grow when they're not going around in a circle. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to our Leos. Matt, your birthday suit is the outfit you were born in. And if you think about that, that means he's naked as a jaybird. It's an old saying, but I'm an old broad, so. What did Stephen say? Oh. Stephen. Okay, here we go. On to our Leos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I want to tell you, all the planets are moving into your first house. So, Mercury's going to move out, but Venus is in there. Mars will show up in a month or two. Oh, we go from the star to the moon. The moon is a very Piscean energy here. And these are both two major arcana cards, which is where the Fool, as he journeys through the major arcana, goes through the archetypes of the human experience. And here we can see this sort of wrestling between this domesticated dog and what looks like a feral dog. We see the crab coming out of the water. And I really think lately that crab is all about that outer shell, and that inside is this succulent meat. And in order to extract that meat, there's got to be a reconciliation between the two sides of ourselves. And I think the only way to really perceive that is to go into your inner knowing, when I talk about the inner knowing, it's like asking yourself a question like this. What do I really believe is going to happen? This started for me when I was in high school. There were all these serial killers in LA. And I was at a vulnerable age where, my demographic was being targeted. And I thought to myself, am I going to experience this? Is this really in my destiny? And I remember asking myself that question and hearing a no, And so I kind of feel like this is Leo following your heart, having courage, starting to really give into the idea that you decided to be a Leo rising, you decided to be a Leo moon, you decided to be a Leo sun because there's something you want to birth out. And maybe it's not even for the audience, maybe it's just for you to feel the variance within you, the dimensions, the different things that you're capable of. So let's see. The more we move into technology and into, later chapters of the human experience, I believe that the individual who is the most authentic is going to be the new movie star, through influencers, through people like myself and others who share on these platforms. The more people resonate with who you are, not who you're pretending to be. So this could also be something where it's getting down to the real truth of you, because in the Piscean energy of the moon card in the tarot isn't Cancer, because that's the Chariot. This is Piscean, which means this goes to your creativity. And are you escaping your creativity? Are you too afraid to express it? Okay, here we go. Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The first angel is Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. Bridget is about looking deeper into a situation. Caressa is about the end of a life cycle and new happiness awaits you. And then we have Rochelle, and it's all about following your heart. And that heart brings prosperity in the form of harmonious wealth for me. It's not necessarily money per se, but in a flow of things. People, places, where all my bodies, my emotional body, my spiritual body, my mental body, all start to feel in alignment. All right, Leo, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the love card. Bridget's being joined by the horse. Caress is being joined by the owl. And Rochelle is being joined by the wind fairy. This is very, very interesting to me because when I look at the love card, I don't always associate it with intimate love. I associate it with the things that I love. It can be a relationship, but here with the moon representing the Piscean energy, the going back and the forth between potentially wanting to birth something or wanting a new experience, wanting something that's more heartfelt, something that feels more fun. You may be going, I can't afford that. I can't do that. I'm stuck in this situation. Pluto is breaking up stuff for people all over the place. And it is not doing that to really harm us, but rather to get down to the nitty gritty of what is true and real and to assert ourselves and to be powerful. And wherever, your Aquarian energy squares you. So Pluto is squaring the dimensions of, opposition to Leo, pardon my language, opposition. So in that opposition, what is it? Because it's going to be right on the very edge of your 5th and 6th house, I think it is, 6th and 7th house. So what is it that you could potentially be enslaved in the way you're thinking, and sort of to have compassion as you start to inch your way over to the things that make you feel excited about getting up in the morning, the things that are excited about, birthing out into the world. And I think this is creatively. Again, I'm looking at that moon and I'm thinking to myself, this could be something that people, if you're Leo, you may diminish the talent in some way. You may think that it's not good enough, or it's not fancy enough, or it's not big enough. That's one of the things about Leo. This compassion, I go back to that pool noodle, the guy who invented the pool noodle that's like $10. He made himself a millionaire as a piece of styrofoam, because Bridget is looking deeper into a situation, and then the horse is looking deeper into your beliefs. I literally think this is representing Sagittarius. Sagittarius is Jupiter. Jupiter is going through Gemini right now, and there's this potential of just like a conflict of between bigger concepts and practical application. And here I think Caressa in the Angel's Advice is saying this end of a chapter is really going back and forth. You know, there's a good news and bad news. If you look at anything long enough, it won't work. It will be hard. Here is you going against your head versus your heart. I feel like that's part of the conflict here as well. So I want to offer it this way. As you give life to the idea, maybe today's full moon and all the ones, if you looked at the video, you'll see, I think Venus is at 11 degrees right now of Leo. There's Saturn's at 19 degrees retrograde Pisces. Neptune's at 29 degrees retrograde. The full moon was at 29 degrees, which put the sun and the moon both at 29 degrees. All that reduces down to ones. We've got 10 likes, 22 people in the room. There's a message coming here, and this is a 29 that reduces down to an 11. So I think for my Leos, this is about having some compassion for your fear, your trepidation, whatever it is, and then just slowly inching yourself into your connection with spirit, and then birthing that little bit of this at a time in the real world. Okay, there's love for everybody here in the room. Okay, here we go. On to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. The Knight of Wands. This is double fire, teenager energy, passion, creativity, ready to go on adventures. This cat is on the move. Let's see where we're going. As I said earlier, Mercury is exalted and the ruler of Virgo. And as such, it's extra super powerful there, you know, and it's because exaltation is where you're celebrated. You know, everybody's got out the fine china, the bells are ringing, the house is all clean and nice, and you rule the land. So it's like the king is coming home. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for our Virgos is Archangel Gabriel, the angel of communications. We have Bridget, we have Ariel, and then we have Isabella. Now, Archangel Gabriel is interesting here because she talks about having an important life's purpose in communications and arts. And we're talking about Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury's coming into your house at the end of the week. And so this is really powerful. As a first house Virgo, you have an opportunity to use your powers of persuasion to assess the things that you've been doing. And while this cat is moving very quickly, I know it's a guy on a horse. This is what we used to say back in the day. It was the original dude word. And for some reason, cat keeps coming out of my mouth today. So I want to offer it this way because I think that Archangel Gabriel is trying to comfort you in some way. Let's see where we're going. Partnership. Okay, so here we go. Archangel Gabriel is telling you not to feel insecure. And this partnership card can be anything that you're endeavoring. For instance, if you are potentially, looking for a new job or interviewing or looking to move up in some way, there's also the potential that you're doing literal, like selling something or doing something with work. It's a time to be very calm, cool, and collected and look to the deeper. If for some reason if the Knight of Wands is inferring that you might miss something moving too quickly, then this is telling you that something is coming back around. Let me look where we're going. Okay, this partnership card, to me, when I looked at it immediately, I got the image of one of my clients who's a Virgo rising, who's in real estate and is selling a property right now. And I thought, it's going to happen. Here's all about being calm, cool, and collected. And there is this Ariel with the frog, which represents the mind, right? It represents Ariel represents the connection to the angelic realm, and the frog represents cleaning up of the mental mind. The physical apparatus. And here Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right. And then we have Merlin. Merlin is a 1. What I'm seeing here for my Virgos is something is coming together for you. There's something coming into a partnership for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate partnership. It could be a physical work partnership, or a collaboration of some kind, or finding cooperation with somebody, potentially even, I want to say, in your neighborhood. And I want to offer this too, because as we see that some of the aspects are challenging, there are also these dynamics that are very powerful when we're standing in alignment. So while Mars is entering Gemini, your sister sign Virgo, meaning you both ruled by Mercury, and it's making that trine to Pluto, there could be opportunities that come your way that were unexpected, and it's a time to be brave, or to be bet on yourself. That's the way I want to put it. Oh, the 5th is a good day to be born, because that, to me, I look at numbers all the time and I see things. So when I think of the 5s, and the partnership here is a 32, which reduces down to a 5. So this could be some sort of creative, or at least heartfelt collaboration. And if for some reason you are a Virgo that is, in sales, or you're selling something, or you're selling your skills, your entrepreneurship, you'll come into partnership with people. Now, the important thing is to remember that Saturn is in your 7th house, asking you to be very realistic about the partnerships that you're creating, and if they're sustainable. That's super important. All right, let's move on. We go to our Libras, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, wow, the Judgment card for my Libras. Now, I want to offer this because this is an extremely Platonian card. These characters are rising like the phoenix from what appears to be death. And this is Archangel Gabriel heralding them home. And it's interesting because I almost see the Swiss flag when I see that red cross. I don't think it is actually the Swiss flag, but today it reminds me of Switzerland. And what is Switzerland? Switzerland is ultimately neutral. What is Libra? Fair, neutral, balanced. Something is coming into balance. This is also a 20. And we have 20 people now in the room and 11 likes. So I'm seeing coming into partnership with my intentions, and partially because I have been aware of my own transformation and my Pluto transits. Libra, Pluto has been squaring the late Libras for quite some time, and early Libras a while back. So let's see where we're going. Where is this judgment coming? Because sometimes judgment is in your favor. It's not always negative. I don't know why you said unfortunately, Stephen, but when I think of the sun in Pisces, I think of a sunset. I think of how beautiful it looks, the way the water glistens, the light from the sun. So, I think everything is perception. And, I happen to have Mercury not far from my Neptune, but I believe in the law of attraction. And as I start to focus on the things that are more beautiful versus challenging, I find that more beauty comes into my life. And when challenge comes into my life, it's offering me a honing of a skill. And often that is my inner knowing that goes, something wrong here? All right, Libra, here we go. We have Archangel Michael protecting you and giving you courage. We have Shanti, the angel of peace, being offered. We have Celeste, a new home or a place of employment, potentially a shift in the way you're thinking. And we have Chantal, the angel of romance, showing her little self out. Well, isn't that interesting? Okay, here we go. Archangel Michael is being joined for my Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums by the love card. Shanti, the angel of peace, is being joined by the transformational swan. Celeste is being joined by the eagle. And Chantal's being joined by the disruption card. Very interesting. Okay, so when we see this judgment card, again, there has been something that has died in order for these people to rise like the phoenix. So I want to offer it this way, because this doesn't necessarily have to be something physical. It could be something metaphorical, an awareness, an epiphany, something that you I've always thought, people could make choices, people can be fair. But when I started studying astrology and I realized how many people I know that are fixed signs, no offense to them, but fixed moons can often not want to shift. And so my point is this, Libra, you have an opportunity to rise like the phoenix when you understand the ebb and the flow of what balance really is. It is not the absence of problems. It is not the 100% peace, and having the courage to seek love in every situation. This is not easy to do. And this is why when you're a Libra rising, this is the focus, is to find a set. Because if you think about it, the opposite sign is Aries. The Aries is your partnership house. So it's experiencing individuality, sense of adventure within your partnerships, being aware of what you put on your partner that might build resentment. We also have the nodes going through Libra right now. So as the nodes get to those ending, they're going to move into the next sign in a few months. I think it's the early part of next year. And so there's going to be a growing intensity as we get to those lower degrees. We will see Saturn and Neptune come conjunct with the North Node at some point in the near future. And the preparation for that awareness, or the awareness of that transit, will help. Because here, Libra, Shanti is offering peace through your transformation, but this is a transformation of your intuitive knowing. And I can't help but see that in the angel's advice, we have the connection to the angelic realm. And we've got two birds with very large wings, giving us an opportunity to see things from a new perception, a new perspective. And Celeste, for me, very much is a shift in the way I'm thinking. Yes, it talks about a potential for a new job or a new place to live, but this is in the angel's advice. And personally, you put my body anywhere, I think a certain way. I don't care if I'm in Antarctica or Africa. I'm going to think a certain way. You're not going to change that. So to me, this is me seeing things from a higher perception, for me seeing the wisdom of how I became. You see how their hair is light and their power, their solar plex chakra is represented here. There's awareness of the mind. There's awareness. You're rising like the phoenix from something in interior, emotional job. And I think on some level, when I look at Chantal, the angel of love and romance, and the disruption card, and I go back to this idea of Archangel Michael asking for courage and love, it makes me think, am I harboring peace? Am I fostering balance? Am I expecting something when I give? And if I am, is that really serving me? There's some awareness that's happening here. And I think Archangel Michael is asking Libra to look at where you're potentially, this is what I want to say. The supergalactic center is at 2 degrees of Libra. It is a point within the Shapley cluster that represents creating a relationship with self, where you are the source. You are source. And I somehow am plugging into that with this right now. I know not all Libras, that's a pretty big orb. I think it's a 5 to 12 degree orb off the top of my head. But anything you have an aspect to that is going to call forth an opportunity to check and see how your relationship is with yourself, that then fosters the relationships you have with other people, and your expectation of those people once you get in a relationship. Now, let me be mundane as I start to move on, because when I live alone, so I don't expect anyone to dump the trash. I don't expect anybody to clean up after me. But if somebody else was here, I can imagine I would suddenly have expectations that I never had before. Help me with the trash, help me with it, la la la. And so I think maybe, Libra, there's something about looking at what your expectations are. That's all. And if they're really serving you. I don't know why I want to put it that way. Okay, we're moving on. Oh, welcome, Barry. Are you new to our group? I don't think I've seen you before. I love seeing new people in the chat. Thank you for bringing your energy in the room. Okay, here we go. Scorpio, here you are, the king of water. Right here, this literally represents the Scorpio man. Scorpio energy, I should put. Let's see where we're going here, because the water's a little stormy, and yet he's very calm. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Adriana. The third is Omega. And the final is Bethany. So your two ruling planets are having a huge conversation this week. Pluto, your modern day ruler, and Mars, your ancient ruler. And when I look at this, I wonder if all this there's a brewing underneath inside of you, like you're feeling the churnings of that trine. Hi, Gita. Okay, here we go. Merlina's being joined by the king. I got it. We have Adriana being joined by the Grail Knight. We have Omega being joined by the Death card. That's very interesting. And then we have Bethany being joined by the Fear card. Scorpio, something is up this week where I think that you might feel a bit of, I said that I thought this full moon was very potentially emotional, as it could bring up something in its Pluto conjunction that's been buried underneath. And I don't know if necessarily you, Scorpio, can identify what that underneath is. It could just be like feeling the winds of change, or feeling like something needs to shift. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it will come from. Because when I look at this, I feel like I see the red ship in the background, and I see the water kind of tumultuous. And yet the king is looking to the future. He's aware of something going on. We see the red in his cape, but we also see that he's got predominantly orange and yellow going on here. So there could be a sense of security that is rumbling underneath. Do I feel secure? Is everything going to be okay for me? We have Merlina and the king being joined together. Again, this is things pertaining to the law. This is about self-assertion, things pertaining to the male energy. We have Mars involved here, where there could be a wanting to take action because I need to know that something's moving, and then yet this could be an interior call from Pluto saying, don't move until you check in on your vibration, because the Grail Knight and Adriana are leading you to something much bigger. And when I look at the Grail Knight today, I think this is, the physical incarnate of Mars, standing for something sacred and being willing to defend it. And now we have victory in your transformation. And the transformation is slowing down long enough to look at your way of communicating. The 46 reduces down to a 10. This full moon was riddled with ones. And, of all the signs of the Zodiac, Scorpio has the most power to sting, because Scorpio knows how to grab your jugular. It can see it. Scorpio doesn't, it's so inherent. I really truly believe that Scorpio is like the most intuitive, because it's not insecure like Cancer can be. It's not trying to please too much like Pisces. It's standing in its own power, and it's grasping on, but the victory comes in how you use that information. And here we have Bethany of self-care, and there's the Fear card. So something is rumbling underneath. Something feels like it's shifting, and I think this is an opportunity to stand in what is authentically true to you. Meaning, like, do I really hate this job because I hate the work, or do I hate the people, or have I picked the wrong? You could be questioning some of your choices and what you want. He's looking forward, what will be emotionally satisfying. When I'm also in my head trying to calculate where was this full moon in Capricorn for you? I think it's in I need to think. Scorpio. So then we go Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius. So it was the third house. Yeah. So this even more emphasizes there's potential that you became aware of something in the way, in the line of your thinking and through how you're communicating. And you may be communicating on some old stories, and the old stories feel relevant today, but they don't feel quite relevant over time. And I really think has something to do with a monkey mind thing. When I look at the king, it's a 3, the Gemini energy. When I look at the fear card, it's a 48, which reduces down to a 12, which reduces down to a 3. There's something about, I think you might be contemplating things from too much of an earthbound place, and it's bubbling something up. And as you walk through it, this trine this week, you can ask yourself, is that current today or is that from yesteryear? Okay, on to our Sagittarius's rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, Queen Leo, I left Facebook years ago too. I couldn't take it anymore, especially after, I don't know, my whole generation went crazy during, certain times, and they just get on that thing and wank and wank and wank. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go. And then I went off Instagram too. No. I like TikTok. I like all it's my fave. All right, here we go. On to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, we love this. Your cup overfloweth. The dove of peace is offering sustenance in the wave and the wafer. The little cross on it. It's very Knights Templar. Sacred journeying of the emotions. Let's see where we're going. Welcome, Teri. Good to see you in the room. We've had a nice active, Matt's brought a lot of energy into this room the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate that infusion of excitement. Here we go. Our first angel for our Sagittarius is Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. Then we have Yvonne. This is about vulnerability to the unknown. We have Caressa, a new life cycle is beginning. And we have Teresa about worry. We don't want to worry, darling. The hand of God is offering you something. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the raven. Yvonne is being joined by the Grail Knight. Caressa is being joined by the hawk. Wow. There's my ones all over again, Sagittarius. Wow. And then I have Teresa being joined by the forgiveness card. Okay. So Sagittarius, the house of Sagittarius, holds some very powerful points. The galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, and the great attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. I bring this up because anything within 5 to 12 degrees of the great attractor has influence over it. And I say this because, as I repeat myself, the law of attraction is sitting on this point. And here is God offering you something, and it's an ace as you become from your joyful heart and focus in on it is time for you to experience. Grace and Antoinette, to me here, feels like it's having compassion for the timing of things. The raven is a 10, which reduces down to a 1. And as I'm saying that, I have all these thoughts going in my head because lucky, I finally figured out what the major allergy thing was. His skin is so much better. And I found myself having these thoughts of, I wish I would have known this 5 years ago. I wish I would have known this 4 years ago. I wish I would have. No, Sagittarius, it's not about that. This is the perfect timing for you to receive whatever's coming through. And part of it is your willingness to focus in and utilize the great attractor. And it is what it says it is. That which you focus on, you bring into your experience. Now, the galactic center, for those Sagittarians that have late degrees, within 3 to 5 of 27 degrees of Sagittarius, you have an ability to download information, solutions, to connect to spirit. And having any planets within these 2 points connects these two things, because now is a time to be vulnerable, Yvonne, to that which is most sacred to you. And now we see this sword representing thought. And Caressa is saying you're at the end of a life cycle. There is the hawk, which is signs and omens, and it's an 11. So here we are looking at, what am I thinking about? Well, up until now, you may be worrying about everybody else, but now there's a sort of a reconciliation with this. The forgiveness card for me, Aries rising, Taurus moon, late degree Aries rising. So I'm mostly stubborn Taurus. I don't forgive easily because people repeat the same things over and over again and say, that's just me. And I'm like, well, no, that's just you being rude. So what happens is now I understand that somehow this is all making sense to me. So I think for my Sagittariuses that God is offering you some opportunity emotionally to recognize something and to recognize how your thoughts align to that emotion. Do they do it with joy? Do they do it with trepidation or fear or hope? I think hope can be a real killer, to be honest with you. Hope feels very defeating to me. Like, I don't ever think it's going to happen. So I hope something comes in. God is telling you, I'll give it to you, align to it. Look for the signs and the omens, which will end the unknowing. It will end the feeling like I'm in the dark, and it will bring a new dawn. Okay. Onward and upward to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Sometimes I believe that all my beliefs are evolving all the time, because I get new little pieces of information and I start putting them in my cap, and then I start integrating them into this sort of mariner's rope so that my ship sails on the seas okay. I know I can be very, when my Taurus moon gets burned, I always tell people, you're wallpaper to me. Like, you can be there, but I'll ignore you. That's what's happened to me. I used to be a fighter. My Aries used to take over, but now I'm just like, I don't have time anymore to get that upset. So we're gone. All right, Capricorn, let's see what your card is. Oh, flexibility, money flowing. This is important to know, okay? I want to offer this. This 2 of Pentacles is a lot of things. First of all, you see the seas in the background are going up and down, and it looks like, honestly, if you were out to sea, you'd be throwing up overboard, okay? There is the infinity symbol, that what goes around comes around. There's also flow and flexibility. And if you look at the guy's feet, everything speaks to me, okay? His feet are green like your heart chakra, and he's got this ridiculous looking cap on the top of his head, which we won't even talk what that looks like. I start laughing. And then, that's his base chakra. So he's having a hard time, he's like, look, this is what's real, okay? This is what's really happening. But if you follow your heart and you could be more flexible, you'll bring more abundance in, because this does bring the flow of money, and it also represents travel of some kind. But let's see. I can't tell what that icon is. It's green with white. I don't know what that is. My eyesight suddenly feels like it's needing a new prescription. All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, it's money. Yeah, we like money. I like to call it resources, though, I have to say, because for me, when I think of money, I have all these weird triggers. I have all these weird scarcity thoughts, like, I can make this much, but I don't know if I can make that much. So I don't even use the word money anymore. I use the word resources all the time. That way, spirit is not tied to my limiting thoughts. All right, here we go. For our Capricorns, Francesca, what do you visualize now? Negativity will block your progress. Negativity is simply worry and focus in worry. Ariel is giving you a new experience where the divine comes in and saves your rear end. We have Xana, the angel of protection right here. And then we have Ray, the angel of connection to spirit right now. I think I've told you guys, thank you, Queen Leo. I'm gonna look into some new specs. I want to offer this for my Capricorns because you're builders, right? And you are literally pre-wired to display your building within, meaning your ability to build your wealth, to build material things in the 3D world. And so here, this would indicate that you're having a challenge, okay? And if you're a late degree Capricorn, and look, you could have other planets that are affecting it, but Pluto is going to be having a moment with you, okay? And it's hovering on your first and second house cusp in some way as it's retrograding. So being aware of what are you visualizing, and it's hard not to worry when you're an earth sign, especially because you're looking at it and you're saying, but this is realistic. So Francesca is saying, go into your inner knowing, connect with the goddess within. There's the two. Here's a two. This is going to require flexibility in your attitude and connecting with a bigger part of yourself. Ariel is a bigger part of yourself. And here's the 8. Money is restricted. See the 8? 35 reduces down to an 8 because you're too busy in the 3D world worrying about whatever's going on or the flow of money. And we know that you're worrying because Xana is offering you protection, and Xana is being joined by the novice, a new beginning. And in many ways, it's the opportunity to tell a new story. So I want to rephrase because I'm a wordsmith, Queen Leo. I was trying. The universe is going to give you all past and trying. When you say I am inviting in financial abundance, it is the most powerful thing you can potentially say. That's it. And just leave it at that. Short and simple. And everything that you desire, instead of saying I want it, because the universe can bring you the want of something, oh, she wants to yearn for that. So when you say I am inviting in this experience, the universe opens the doors, the windows, you start a full-blown breeze of things that you want, because Ray is offering that to you, Capricorn. This meditation, I am, I do, I have, exactly. Be, do, have, that's my thing. So here we go. Ray is the connection through your heart. Your power comes to your heart, and then your awareness of your voice as a vibrational tool demonstrating to the universe what it is you actually want to experience. And here we have the cleaning of house. That's the house of the mind. This is the ease to a new lily pad, jumping to a releasing of the issues. And I want to offer this too, because when I look at some of my more earthy signs, the ones that like to really, say, look at what I have built, and this represents my talents and my skills. When you're in a wobble like this would indicate, this can be super powerful for the people around you, because when you pull yourself out of the wobble, people are like, oh, I want to be like that. And that's the leadership of Capricorn, 10th house. All right, here we go. On to our Aquarius' rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Awesome. August is a big month, I think. I don't know why I really key into August as being kind of, we'll see. I could say honestly every week, when you look at the transits right now, we're just going through really transformational times. This is no, I don't know. I've only lived 64 and a half years. So who knows if it was like this before. I'm pretty sure it was. All right. So Aquarius, what are we seeing for you today? Oh, the Knight of Cups. Whenever we see the knights, we always see this teenager's exuberance. When we see a knight, we see fire infused with whatever the suit is. So here we see passion, fire, and emotions, the cups. We see the mercurial hat. So there's something going on where there's a lot of thinking going on. And if I didn't know better, I would think that this knight might have to cross some sort of emotional river or stream in order to get where he wants to go. Now let's see what's happening. So technically for our, let me hit that. I found the skip ad button. Oh, Queen Leo, thank you for the updates. I am fascinated right now. I feel like I'm watching history be made. I feel like I'm looking at 200 years ago, 150 years ago. Very fascinating. Okay. Oh, Lord. I know. All right. For our Aquariuses, where are we? Where is the heart and the mind coming together, the emotions? Let's see. We have Adriana leading you to the answers to your prayers. We have Layla talking about your intentions and what it is you want to experience. We have Daniel, the angel of history in partnership. And then we have Rochelle about following your heart, which is really leading us back to this. So now let's talk about Capricorn is your 12th house, and Pluto is retrograding back into your 12th house and revisiting some soul history of feeling repressed or feeling restricted or feeling limited in your self-expression due to authority outside of yourself. Now we're walking through potentially an old imprint. Have you ever had, like, I don't know how to say this, but sometimes Lucky's so used to pulling on the leash, or he doesn't really pull, but he's used to the feel of the leash, being there. And every once in a while, there's so much slack on the leash that he stops. It's like he has too much freedom or something. So there's something about this that feels like this river is too much slack on the leash. Something's coming up. I don't know why I want to say that. Capricorn, Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers in love. And I don't know if I think that that's love of other people. It may be the love of what you express, your being energy out into the world. It could be the love of what you're building, your ambitions. Layla is talking about Layla is being joined by the serpent, which is a snake, which to me is a very healing energy. There's a shedding of a skin in many ways. Daniel is interesting. Daniel is the angel of partnerships, and now we have the queen. And if Capricorn, you are a builder. You are you are. I'm going to go out there and make it happen. And one of the most fascinating things that Pluto has been offering you is a receiving from your heart. And here is that amplified. Daniel may talk about partnership and marriage, but he talks about history, and the queen is about reception. It's a feminine energy that receives what it wants. Rochelle is being joined by the water fairy. This is very interesting. I want to offer this to my Capricorns. I think that what this is saying is that is now an opportunity for you to find your cup is filled when you follow things that are passion-based, things that you can apply your tenacity, your discipline, your endurance to, but things that you love. That's what Adriana is. So if something's breaking up, if we think about the idea of Capricorn, that makes Cancer your 7th house. That could potentially be relationships that have been built out of imbalance because somehow the 7th house energy needed something and you were going to provide it in a material way or through structure. And now we're looking for more of an even exchange of energy. And this is being offered to you as you start to rewrite your history. Aquarius, thank you, Catherine. Let me go back. Let me think about this for a second. That would put Leo there, which still Aquarius is experiencing Pluto over here, which puts Leo as the 7th house, which then would make the partnerships, are they based on my heart? And I'm going again, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm going to professional partnerships, somehow expressing myself, somehow using that Aquarius genius through passions and creativity. I'm going to continue with this underbelly going on. Thank you so much, Catherine, for correcting me, because I'm in the same vein. Saturn rules both Aquarius and Capricorn. So this is the restrictive part that I'm trying to talk about. And now the angels are leading you to love, to what you love, to your personal genius expressed out into the world that brings a sense of connection to your inner being, a healing. The thing about Aquarius is that it feels exiled. The ideas are so foreign and so out there that people are like, ah! Like, what are you? You're a weirdo. And now I think we're rewriting history. And I think that this queen represents more of this feminine energy, more of a Venusian energy, and that this is rewriting some history. It's cleaning something up because now we have Rochelle offering you to follow your heart, Aquarius. Now, this would be what you want to birth out into your legacy, your contribution. Okay, that's the best way to put it. And this Rochelle is following your heart. We have the 28, which reduces down to a 10, which goes right back to this full moon in Capricorn, illuminating something potentially in your 12th house, as Pluto and the moon were conjunct at this very pivotal, anaretic degree before moving into something it's going to break up the old stuff and bring something forward. So I apologize for drifting off into the Capricorn energy, but overall, to summarize, this is about following your creative genius, allowing it to flow, understanding that there is something that there's a weird trepidation that you get to walk through. And I think that might be that Pluto Mars trine. So you may, because if you have depended on frustration to motivate you, this may be a time when it's about letting your heart motivate you versus your frustration. That makes sense? Oh, Stephen, I'm a pretty strict mom. If he would pull on the leash, we would stop and we would not move. And it took 2 years to break him of that habit. But a lot of it was, I think I got more comfortable on the leash with dogs and stuff like that. Yes, we are going through a Pluto return in the United States, which is giving us opportunities to transform to more authentic self. All right, we're going on to, I do. I'm very, I tried being nice mommy. He doesn't respond when I'm nice mommy. Literally, I'll be like, Lucky, come, let's go take a walk. And he just sits there and stares at me. I'm like, do I need to use my big mommy voice? And then he gets up and he comes up. I don't know what his problem is. But I love that dog. Where is he? Is he there? Let me see. See him sleeping under my desk? All right, we're going on to Pisces. And I know that for sure. And I'm going to remember it the whole time. Pisces. This is yummy. Look at that. Self-satisfaction. And I want to offer it this way because I always think that this is a bit of a process. I know that there's been some things accomplished, but we haven't gotten to the 10 of Cups yet. So this to me feels very much has something to do with Saturn's retrograde and potentially Neptune as well. But I think I'm more focused on Saturn. This is a 9. The 9 is the completion of something. It's coming to a fruition, coming to an understanding, an emotional understanding of satisfaction. We see the full moon in Capricorn today, the second one illuminating something. That, for me, and it was different times in the world, but Spirit knows I look at numbers. And it was 3:17 a.m. And I remember it because I was so startled with the idea that the 3:17 reduces down to an 11. 3, 7, and 1. And it just added to all the other ones that the degrees that the Zodiac was at. So where I'm going with this is this could be Saturn's retrograde, 19 degrees right now, the Libra degree. So you're finding some balance in what you're assessing within Saturn's transit through your first house. Being able to look at what potentially is sustainable for you, where you can express your creativity or your Piscean energy in a place that creates an even exchange of energy instead of what tends to be an out of balance one for Pisces because they can be so overly giving, absorbed into whatever cup they're poured into. And here we have 9 cups. All right, Pisces, our first angel is Archangel Michael asking for courage. Akasha is the spiritual teacher. Bridget is looking deeper into a situation, and Maya is also a card of education. We see the owl looking at both sides of a situation. We see the love card being joined joining Akasha. We see the horse joining Bridget, and then we see the Queen. So what I would have to say here for my Pisces is that this almost feels as if Spirit is congratulating you this week, and asking you for a continuation, because the Archangel Michael in this deck represents courage to make changes. He's also always going to protect us, but the owl gives us the sight of two things. How one serves the other. Deception and wisdom is like light and dark, salt and pepper, peanut butter and jelly. So there is a calling forth for your discernment. This discernment, you should be satisfied with yourself because you're able to see things potentially from Spirit's point of view. Here is Akasha, the teacher, teaching you about love, but love comes in balance. It doesn't come in loving one too much or loving anything too much. Because here, Bridget this is literally looking deeper into your beliefs. I believe that this is representing Sagittarius right now, and this is representing a look deeper into it. And I want to offer it this way because as a Pisces, you're predisposed to a connection to the angelic realm. You're predisposed to feel a sense of connection to your ancestral history. And I feel like this whole spread is congratulating you on some sort of awareness that you have, that you've been garnishing as you've had Saturn going through your first house. And the first time Saturn goes retrograde last year, 0 to 7 degrees, a little rough, right? But now you're getting your sea legs, no pun intended. I've been fostering the idea that Saturn's transit through Pisces is all about creating a sustainable relationship with your oversoul, with the part of you that sits outside of your body, holding space for you. And now I think that's what this is representing, that there's a sense of satisfaction of trusting your what you've learned, this through love, but through the love of imbalance. I don't know how to say this, the loving both sides of the fence. Maya is the angel of schooling and education. Here's reception, the feminine energy, the receiving, the energy of, I want to say the energy of give and take, because as the Queen receives, she replenishes others. So I think that this is a week to congratulate yourself potentially. I also, for everybody, an awareness of Mars's transit in Gemini right now is important, because Mars is going to leave its trine to Pluto, and then it's going to start a conjunction with Jupiter. And that's going to be a polarizing event. And we can stand in so much satisfaction when we don't fall into unconsciousness. Okay. Let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stellium. Now, Matt Rado, are you our Matt on the ship? I'm assuming, because the way you're interacting, I think you're the Matt on the ship. And what ship are you on, and what sea are you in? Where are you in the world? What ocean are you on? You could be sitting right out in front of my house for all I know. There's all sorts of cargo ships out there. But I don't think you were on a cargo ship or whatever, import, export ships. I see them at night. You're in the Gulf of Mexico? Is that Texas? Is that like near Texas? Because I'm on the other side of Mexico. I'm in Southern California. My cousin used to do that. Louisiana. Oh, I've always wanted to go to Louisiana. All right, here we go. On to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh boy. Five of cups. All right. This is not an easy energy. I'll say it. It's a card of sorrow. It's a card where the character has experienced a loss and is so focused on that loss that it can't see what is still available. Now, when we look at the Aries energy right now, we have the North Node traveling, we have Chiron in Aries, and we have, for our late degree Aries rising, we have a square to Pluto again. I say again because it's happened repeatedly. And you may be getting tired, you may be getting tired of a journey of some kind. Let's see, because it could be the end of sorrow. It could be the end of because there's always an illumination. This is so 8th house to me. It really feels very scorpionic on some level. While it is not scorpionic, it's actually, well, is it? It is a little bit scorpionic. It's fixed water. All right, well, let me look and see where we're going with this. Since I'm an Aries rising, and my Mars is a late degree Libra, so I'm getting double whammy from Pluto again. I know. Layla is spending time in nature with your desires. Ray is your connection to spirit. Archangel Raphael is again, something's going on, mental epiphany. And then the Indriel, you know what's going to happen for you, Aries? You're going to end up having to deal with your Mars having its moment, and you're being called forth to look at a different side of it. Hold on. Layla's being joined by the forgiveness card. Ray's being joined by the novice. Archangel Raphael's being joined by the love card, and the Lady of the Lake is being joined, or is joining Indriel. Okay, so there is something going on where there could be the appearance of a loss or the appearance of something that isn't moving. Fives by nature give us some sort of independence, some sort of freedom. And when I look at Layla and I see the forgiveness card, I feel like potentially, now this is the not fun part, and I say this because I'm part of this group, literally. When we're right about something, when Aries is actually right, physically, technically, on paper, right, they don't always get validated. They don't always get the pat on the back. And sometimes it feels like a shallow victory. Because here, when I see this forgiveness card, I think that it's as Spirit is asking Aries to turn their head a new direction, to look at what's still there, not what is lost. We have this new beginning, skill without practice, and this connection to spirit. This is very much, to me, looking at things from a bigger point of view. I want to say it this way. Aries wants to take action. Aries is literally the warrior, right? So if you're holding yourself in some pattern with some giving giving not your power away, but you're going through a process where other people have the baton, let's say, then you're being able to stand in loving energy for yourself, meaning this is good for me versus focusing in on what could potentially go wrong. This Archangel Raphael and this love card is really kind of playing to this whole idea of, I don't like the way this sounds. I'll be really honest with you, because my Aries rising is I don't want to be right and not get validation for my rightness. That's what I'm saying. But I think it has something to do with staying and holding my light while there's still a continued storm. That's what I'm trying to say. It may look like all is lost or there's things haven't moved. It may even on some level feel like it. And then there may even be, let me do one quick thing. I'm going to pull Camelot card to get a little clarification on this, because it feels a little illusionary to me, like I'm experiencing sorrow, but it's not really sorrow yet. Let me see. Okay, I think that this has more to do with an impatience. See the wealth card? It's a 7. It's a 37, 34, which reduces down to a 7. This is what I want to say for my Aries. I think you might have this week just a little feelings of defeat. Feeling like either things aren't moving fast enough or you never win. And because things are moving slowly, you think you're not going to win. I think that whatever the case is, you're going to win both ways. And you're going to win because you've conquered your instinct to want to move when Spirit is telling you to let me take it. Spirit is saying, let me, it's my turn with the baton. Don't do anything. I have these weird, like, little fantasies, okay? They all have to do with TPing people's houses and things they used to do in the 50s that you could get away with and not get in trouble. You know, egging, TPing, etc. And I know that if I even thought about a piece of toilet paper right now and did anything about it, I would screw myself over. I've come too far in a high vibration to give up now. That's what I think is going on. Aries, you've been going so far and trying to have a high vibration. Don't fall down the rabbit's hole now. Stay the course. And if your trine this week between your ruling planet and Pluto creates a little bit of nonsense. It's a trine. It has something to offer you. There's something about it to extract. All right, Taurus. Oh, here we go. This is a 10 of wands. This is not easy either. God bless our little last two. This is burdensome. Working hard, not smart. There's some sort of burden attached to something. Let's see where we're going. While it is still in orb, it's in loose orb. Uranus in Taurus is being affected by Pluto in Trine. Oh, that's a nice combination. Saggy moon, Taurus rising. That feels really like a combination of a nice grounding inspirations. Yes, it moved in yesterday, but it's got a trine to Pluto and this moon, and I think it brought up some stuff this way. All right, for our Tauruses, Vanessa is about faith over fear, and that might be what the 10 is about. Indriel, the light worker. Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers, and Isaiah is here telling you it's time to give birth to new situations, like you are actually being protected. Vanessa is being joined by the forgiveness card. The water fairy is joining Indriel. Adriana is being joined by the queen, and Isaiah is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. The 10 of wands right now feels as if it's representing a challenge, feeling faithful or feeling, these times, what we hear in the news and what's going on could make people very unsure and unsettled, right? And when we look at this 10 of wands, his head is just buried in his burden. And I think Spirit is saying in order to reconcile that, it's time to have faith. Everything that I'm going to harp on this until the day I die, and I might be harping on it after I die because I'm pretty sure my lips will still be moving after I die. And I'm going to be saying that our focus is what creates our experience. And there are people that have set precedences in hundreds of years ago that defied the odds of what was considered normal. And for my Tauruses right now, there could potentially be this feeling that, that things are going the wrong direction, or that things are more difficult now than they ever. I mean, we go in the markets, we see everything going up. Because Indriel, the light worker, and the water fairy are asking you to focus in on that which brings you comfort. That Spirit will bring you all that you need in the way of resources so that you can represent from a new perspective, a new, being part of that law of attraction. And I think right now, this rebirth is that there are new things coming and that you are protected during this time. Taurus, one of the biggest challenges is that feeling is, do I have enough? Will there be enough resources? And these are times when we just don't know. And I think that, again, this full moon is really illuminating the structure of our thoughts. And while, yes, it's important to contemplate and to assess certain things, where is the predominant focus? Because the predominant focus, 51% on the problem, is creating more problem. So when you're burdened by that, it's time to go to Spirit and say, help me to see something different. Help me to feel something that feels slightly less burdensome. All right, let's go on to our Geminis. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. You suddenly feel, now we know the challenging side of Mars, but now let's talk about the speedy side of Mars. And you're already speedy, Gonzalez. And at the end of the week, your ruling planet is going to go into its exaltation and rulership. You could run around like a chicken with your head cut off this next week if you're not careful. Let's see what your tarot card is. The Tower. The Tower of Power. This to me is, a lot of people associate this with Mars. I do not. I associate it with Uranus. Liberation, something unexpected, where the crown is literally blown off of the tower. I mean, we see these characters falling out. They're one guy's wearing a crown, The other guy, we don't know what he is. He's falling face first. The other guy's falling upside down. Every time when I was younger that I got the tower, I had a girlfriend who was my ride or die at the clubs, and then she'd get a boyfriend and something, they'd move away. She'd move away, or she'd have, that was the end of that. I think that this is some sort of liberation from something that's been repressive. When I see that crown, I think of government. I think of who makes the rules, and something, a lightning strike. This could be an interior job. Let's look and see. Who's the Tasmanian devil? Oh, Speedy Gonzalez and the Tasmanian. Okay, got it. You're right. Yeah. Follow the dots a little bit. All right, here we go. Because this could be a huge epiphany too, if I didn't say that just a second ago. All right, Xana, the angel of protection during this unexpected event. Archangel Gabriel is the angel of communication. Indriel is the light worker. And Archangel Michael is protection. Xana is being joined by the Joy card. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Mystery card. Indriel is being joined by the Serpent. And Archangel Michael is being joined by the Dragon. There's a very good potential that whatever this tarot card is not even, it doesn't have anything to do with you personally. It might have something to do with what's happening outside of you, because there's the protection card and the Joy card. The Joy card is a 10. So this could actually be something that happens out of nowhere that brings joy. Archangel Gabriel is talking about insecurities. The Mystery card is about choice. Just the recognition that we, oh my gosh. Queen Leo, you're going to make me put the TV on when I turn off this show just to see what's going on. I want to offer it this way for my Geminis, because I think this is what's happening. I think that Jupiter's entry into your first house is bringing up something about contrast. The bigger thoughts that Jupiter offers, along with the small thoughts of my everyday life, and the collision that these two might feel like they're doing, when actually I think they're trying to integrate. And I think that there's an epiphany coming that will help you make choices. You might be making choices from a place that feels like the safest choice, which is really making a choice from insecurity. Then we go over here and there's like, oh my God, I have this epiphany. Who knew? And then, you know what? That 26-degree rising Taurus makes most of your first house Gemini. So that's important, Jules, for your year coming up, to take advantage of that. And that late degree Uranus could liberate you. It did me when Uranus went over my ascendant in Aries. I quit my day job I got mad. Don't anyone do what I do, by the way, because unless you're me, you don't want to do me. But that's how I ended up being Teri 10 years ago, because this is in the angel's advice. There's a healing coming, and I think it comes through some sort of interior epiphany. Now, Archangel Michael is asking you to feel protected and to have a sense of calm and cool as things start to shift. And I want to offer it this way, because again, this could be something where Gemini, as Mars enters into your first house, let's think about it. You rule teamwork, you rule networks, meaning, communications, you rule the neighborhood, the roadways. For all you know, something could happen within your network of people or your team of people that changes things, that actually works out for the better, or works out for you better. And it may present an opportunity for you. That's the other thing that's kind of lurking in the back of my mind, is there could be an opportunity that comes to my Geminis that is a little risky, like, oh, I don't know how that'll play out. But at the same time, giving yourself a minute to have an epiphany, to connect with spirit, to see if the choice would be worth betting on. When Uranus crossed my ascendant, I didn't plan on starting my own business. I just hated my job and the woman I worked with so much that I was like, I want to try to see if this will work. And I had been focusing for 3 years and building my clientele. And then I just felt this intuitive knowing it was time to liberate myself. There's no way anyone's ever going to convince me that the Tower is Mars, because Mars is the adventurer, Mars is the pioneer, and Uranus is the militia, the fighting the man. And that's why there's anxiety, because you're breaking the rules. So, which would make your first house mostly Cancer. Small wildflowers. That's something to pay attention to. All right. So I'm starting to like Placidus more. I mean, I actually personally like Placidus way more, but for the sake of the bigger group, we do it in whole sign. It makes it easier. Mars is fire, and Mars is going to get more fiery as it gets closer and closer to Jupiter. That could be a real manifestation of that. Bigger, willing to war over my beliefs and tell people, you're wrong. And I had to tell you, the other day, I was in a store that I go in quite often, and somebody made a comment about last weekend's events that I thought was so unloving and so hypocritical, frankly. And I see this woman very regularly, and it was, as it happened, I didn't say anything. I kept my mouth to myself, but I also realized that when I'm around her, I'm going to be more Switzerland than ever now, because I don't want to engage in those conversations where people feel other people should die. I can't get behind that. So anyway, all right, guys, this is a channel where love is the theme. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I love all the good energy in the chat. Love seeing you all interacting and kicking it up. So that's exciting. Thanks to all the new people. We love having Matt Ratto in the room. He's a real asset. We like his new and youthful energy. So we'll be back next Sunday, 11 a.m. I'll give you some more reports on my lotto winnings, because that's the other thing that could happen too. All sorts of good things can happen. If you're brave, you can get, expansion of your wealth too. So focus on that kind of stuff. All right, everybody, I'm going to say good night. We kept it at about an hour and a half. Pretty proud of that. We don't want to get much longer than that anymore. So I'm going to kiss y'all. Mwah. Have a lovely day. Queen Leo, I'm going to be joining you and your husband in watching the events that are going to be written down in history. And next time we incarnate, we'll be reading about them in our history classes. All right, everybody. See you next week. Be good to yourselves. Be gentle with yourselves, and stay away from the people that piss you off.